Ready to Love season 5. This is a new episode because it hasn't been an official episode this week, but it's so much going on in the streets talking. I figured I might as well do a video about it. And we might need to change the name of this show from Ready to Love to Ready to Sue and Ready to Press Charges. I mean, I told y'all that we need to close down the Dayton Market in DC, Maryland, Virginia. On my last video, I warned y'all. I said we need to shut it all down because it's completely out of order. Well, guess what? It's more out of order than ever before. I don't even know why owntv came back to this area for a second go round, but I know they learned their lesson now after last season. And now we got this season's going on with Eric and Dakia. I know this is the last time owntv gonna be in the Maryland, Virginia, DC area. This is it. I know they are like, peace, we out. So what happened? We got a little more information now because owntv dropped their own little something.
I was hanging out with Eric and a couple of the other guys. Eric asked to take a picture with me, and so he comes up behind me and puts his arm around my waist. And I make a joke like, all right, we got this old school prom picture pose going on. And Eric is like, watch this. This ain't no high school prom picture pose. And he comes and gets very physical with me. I'm a lady, you don't touch me that way.
And in addition to this, I don't know if you guys follow Kamisha Reviews. She has a whole lot of tea, text messages, everything else you can check out over there. I'm not going to post it here. We definitely in a he said, she said situation right now. I don't know if we'll ever really learn the truth. I'm sure they're going to want to keep some of this private, but Kamisha Reviews definitely has a lot more information. But the story goes that after Dakia said, oh, what are we doing taking this sort of prom picture? Dakia's story is that Eric grabbed her breasts, both breasts, I guess, with both his hands. Of course, Eric denies it. So this is all allegedly. Eric denies it. And what Eric's side of the story is that he moved his hands or arms up close to her breast, but he didn't touch her breast. Dakia says everybody saw it. She's got witnesses, and basically Eric is denying it. So right now, all this is just alleged. So we got the he said, she said. She says he grabbed her breast and he says he didn't. But you know, I just feel like we just too old for this. They too old for this. I mean, these are some kind of lessons you learn like way back in, I don't know, like elementary school. I mean, even my 3-year-old niece came to me the other day and said, Auntie, you know, boys can't hit girls. I was like, yeah, you sure right, sweetie. Boys can't hit girls. I mean, this is the kind of stuff, don't hit girls, don't touch girls. This is stuff they teaching in preschool these days. And we got 30, 40-year-old people possibly, allegedly doing this type of thing, groping and touching women in places that they don't want to be touched and you don't have permission to do. This is so elementary. I don't even know how we're here. The way I look at it is if that did happen, I'm the kind of person where, you know, whatever comes your way, whatever backlash comes your way, if you really did something like that, then you know what, you deserve whatever you get, because everybody should know that that's a boundary you shouldn't cross. But I want to have another conversation too, more like another elevated conversation, because I don't want to get into the blaming the victim or anything like that. But I think we need to have another larger conversation, especially if we're going to be out here teaching young girls how to date or shoot. I guess it ain't young girls how to date. I guess we got to teach older women how to date too. But if we're going to talk about how to date and what things we should and shouldn't be doing, we need to have a larger conversation. Whether it's to teach our daughters or our sisters or our girlfriends or our nieces or whomever, it's obvious that the word ain't got out on the street, because we still seeing this kind of stuff happen. And I can't understand why we still seeing it happen. You know, I'm older, but it seemed like a lot of these young women out here, they've really forgotten some of the lessons that older women like myself learned when it came to dating. You know, I think younger women have a lot more protection than maybe was around when I was younger. And so as a result, a lot of our dating, when we were dating, a lot of our safety was put on our own shoulders. We had to be the ones to really do things differently, because we didn't have a lot of as many laws that protected us. We didn't have as many boundaries that were drawn, so men weren't as educated as they are now when it comes to dating. So there was a lot more pressure on women to sort of do things to keep themselves out of certain situations. And I think nowadays, a lot of women, they've just forgotten some of those old lessons. They're just so used to now that men have to regulate themselves and men are taught to not do this, that women have kind of let their guard down, and they're just expecting men to behave correctly. And I don't know if you can always rely upon men to behave correctly, to be honest with you. I just don't think you can always expect people to have the same moral values that you have. I don't think you can expect people to even respect laws the way people used to respect laws back then. I think nowadays when you're out in the public, whether you're dating or not, you can't rely on people to be kind, courteous, respectful, or moral. You really have to navigate this dating world quite differently. I mean, if you've been watching my videos this whole season, I've been pretty hard on Dakia and Precious. And I really just thought that some of the conversation they had with men, I thought it was just really completely out of order. And, you know, even in what we just saw in that video, Dakia said that, you know, well, she's a lady, don't touch me like that. Be honest with you, some of the conversations that Dakia had with some of the men, I really didn't think it was ladylike at all. It definitely wouldn't have been no conversation I would have had with a man that I barely knew, that I didn't know his habits, I didn't know his characteristics, I didn't know his history. I would never have no conversation like that with a man that I wasn't either involved with in terms of already sexually involved, or he was my boyfriend, or if he was my husband. I just would have never had that conversation. And that might be because I'm older. And as a result, we just didn't have those kind of conversations on dates. To me, it's just too risky. It's just too risky because what you're hoping on is that that man is going to understand where you're coming from. And that man is going to understand what your intent is. And you just can't rely upon that anymore. People have too many different backgrounds, different experiences. And you can't really believe that, you know, because you say one thing, they're going to take it the way it should. I mean, like, how many times has a man gotten in trouble for telling a joke and he was like, oh, it was just a joke, but the woman's offended? And, you know, just like the kid said, oh, it was a joke when I was talking about holding me like a high schooler. But guess what? There you go. People don't know if that's a joke. They don't know how to take it. You just can't assume that anymore with people. She might have meant it lighthearted, but he might have looked at it as a cue that he could ramp up the physical affection. I'm not saying he's right or anything, but I'm just saying is she don't know nothing about this man. She don't know his background, his history. She don't know his dating history, nothing. I just wouldn't play with no man like that. To me, it's just too risky. I come from the era of the one-arm hug. You know how that looks? I don't even give no man no double hug. I don't do none of that. None of it at all. I think there needs to be a zero tolerance on men touching women on any parts of their bodies. I don't care what part of their body it is. I think it's zero tolerance. I don't think you should invade a woman's space like that. But I also think we need to have a zero tolerance on the sexual innuendos that women are using when they talk to men. I think we need to have it both ways, actually, to be honest with you. Just like when the kid was on that day with Donovan and she was up there rubbing on his leg underneath the table. I think that was out of order. I think there should have been a zero tolerance on that too. Call me a prude or whatever. I just come from a big city. I come from LA. And you know what, growing up in LA, you see all kind of stuff. You see all kind of people from all type of backgrounds. And you just can't be trusting people that you don't know. You really can't. That's just the way I was raised. I remember when I was a young girl and I was talking to my father, and I don't know, we was trying to argue over what my curfew was going to be. And I was like, well, I don't understand why I can't stay out till 1 o'clock in the morning. I was like, you know, well, whatever I do at 9 p.m., I could do it at 1 o'clock. So what difference does it make? And my father looked at me and said, listen, you ain't the one I'm worried about. It's all them other people out there that I'm worried about. He says, all them other people wasn't raised like you. So as a result, no, you coming home. And he said, you know, it's not you I don't trust, it's them I don't trust. And that's what I remember as a young girl. You just can't trust everybody. You just can't have same conversations with everybody. You just can't give people access to your space all the time. I wasn't raised like that. I grew up with three other sisters, 4 girls. And let me say, my daddy didn't play. He gave us the lowdown and told us what we could, what we couldn't do, and what to expect. There's a moral code and then there's the law. But let me tell you, if people don't share your same moral code, sure, in the end, you can call the police on them, or they can end up paying a penalty. Like Eric could get kicked off this show if he did do it. Or, you know, the kid's going to have the opportunity, if she wants to press charges or whatever she wants to do. Supposedly says she isn't. But listen, that's all after the fact, because it doesn't matter what you can do after the act is done. You're the one still left with the scars, the trauma, the embarrassment, or whatever it is. So my thing is, like, don't even get in the situation. Then you won't have to be dealing with no law. Anyway, I hope this episode is a way for all of us to go back and talk to our daughters, nieces, sisters, whoever else, and kind of school them on this kind of stuff. Because to be honest with you, I can't even still think we still here talking about this. I thought this was a conversation you just need to have with girls who's just starting off dating in their 20s. I didn't know we still be having this conversation with people in their 30s and their mid 40s. This is ridiculous, y'all. Anyway, talk to you later. Bye.